Good day, students, and welcome to today's class. In our last class, we looked at the classification of living things. In this class, we're going to be looking at binomial nomenclature, organization of life, and the complexity of living organisms. The objectives for this class are as follows. At the end of this class, you should be able to define binomial nomenclature, explain what is meant by organization of life, and give the levels of organization. Understand what complexity of living organisms is all about. Explain the advantages and disadvantages of complexity of living organisms. Let's start with binomial nomenclature. Binomial nomenclature is a system of classifying and naming organisms that was developed by Carolus Linnaeus in the year 1700. The word bi means two, so nomenclature also means name. Binomial nomenclature means two naming. Now remember, in our previous class, talked about the domain, the kingdom, up to the species. In binomial nomenclature, the last two, the genus and the species, are of importance because they both combine to give the binomial nomenclature of an organism. So take note of that. Now, quickly, remember in our last class we talked about the organisms and their kingdoms and everything, their characteristics. Don't forget this. Just look at this chart. Take note of what you see. Okay, what's the importance of binomial nomenclature? What are the rules? Now, a Spanish scientist will know dog to be perro, and an English scientist know dog to be dog. How do these two scientists communicate? That's the need for binomial nomenclature. Is a common language in science because the scientific name is the name in Spanish and is the name in Latin, is the name anywhere. Let's look at a common example, tiger. The tiger is the common name of this animal. What's the scientific name? Panthera tigris. Anywhere I tell someone Panthera tigris is going to know I'm talking about tiger. Now let's look at this human, Homo sapiens. That's our scientific name. Now we belong to the kingdom Animalia, the phylum Chordata, the class Mammalia, the order Primates, the family Hominida, the genus Homo, and then the species Sapiens. Why our scientific name is not the combination of the generic name and the specific name Homo and Sapiens. So that's your scientific name. Same thing goes for these. This amoeba, we've talked about it before, is a protista. It belongs to the kingdom Protista. It belongs to the phylum Sarcodina. It belongs to the class Rhizopoda. It belongs to the order Amoebida, and it belongs to the family Amoebidae, and it belongs to the genus Amoeba, and it belongs to the species Protis. So what's going to be the scientific name? Amoeba protis. This is watermelon, your common fruit you eat every day. The common name is watermelon. That's what you call it. But what if a scientist wants to communicate with another scientist? He's going to call it Citruris vulgaris. This is a bacteria, Escherichia coli. The generic from this, if you can see now, if I give you a scientific name, you should be able to tell me that the first one is the generic name and the last one is the specific name. So if I ask for the species after I've given you the scientific name, you should be able to do that. This is your banana, what you eat every other day. What's the scientific name? Exactly what you see on the screen. Now, if I ask you what's the genus, you should be able to say the genus should be what Musa and the species being the word the Paradisicum. Now, going on this, your mango, Magnifera indica. Any scientist that see this should be able to say, oh, yes, this mango. Anywhere in the world. That's the importance of binomial nomenclature. Your tiger again comes up. The scientific name is Panthera tigris. What's the genus? Panthera. What's the species? Tigris. So let's quickly move on to organization of life. Now, organization of life is a hierarchy of the various structures of living things. It starts from the cell down to the organism. Some organisms find themselves at the cellular level. They are just at the cellular level. We're going to be seeing examples very soon. Let me start giving examples. Your amoeba, your paramecium, they are just at the cellular level. Why some organisms are at the system level? Example is Homo sapiens, we. Now, this is a bacteria cell. Definitely, a bacteria will definitely be just at the cellular level because they are prokaryotic, they are unicellular, so just a single cell. This is a typical animal cell, a typical plant cell. as you see. Note that a plant cell will have cell wall. It will have, in addition to your cell membrane, it has a cell wall. All right. Those are some differences between a plant and an animal cell. The fact that a plant cell has cell wall, it has chloroplast, which an animal cell will not have. Good. Now we're going to be looking at the animal cell quickly. This is an animal cell. If you see, it doesn't have a cell wall as a plant cell did. It just have a cell membrane, a flexible cell membrane. So the plant cell is rigid while the animal cell is flexible. These are some of the difference between plant and animal cells. The plant cell has a flexible membrane while the animal cell has a rigid cell wall made up of cellulose. So we quickly move on. Take note of those structures. Take note of those structures. This is the tissue level of an organization. You can see this is the view of a tissue under a microscope. You can see compartment of cells coming together to form a tissue. A tissue is the combination of two or more cells which are similar in structure and function. They come together to form what? A tissue. Now, this is a plant tissue, the conducting tissue of a plant made up of the xylem and the phloem. They come together to form a conducting tissue in addition to the carbium. The carbium is not found in some plants, it's found in plants with secondary growths. Moving on, these are examples of tissues in animals and man as an animal. These are examples of tissues in man. We have the blood tissue, the epithelial tissue, the muscle tissue, the connective tissue, the cartilage, the adipose tissue, numerous tissues. Please take note, the blood is a tissue. Is a popular exam question. The blood is a tissue. It's made up of cells. What are the cells found in blood? That's what you're going to see now. You have your hemoglobin is what gives the blood its red color. Then you have your WBC, the white blood cells. You have the platelets. You have the plasma is the fluid portion of the blood. Now this is your bone tissue. This is your bone tissue. You can see it's made up of a spongy parts and a bone marrow with the compact bone part and the yellow marrow. Okay, quickly we move on to the organ level. These are various organs in a man that happens to be an animal. So when we're talking about man, don't forget we're talking about animal. So these are various organs in a man and consequently an animal. Then we move on quickly to the plant organs. The leaf is an organ in plants. The stem is an organ in plant. The root is an organ in plant. You can see the functions. The leaf, the major function of the leaf is for what? For photosynthesis, and the stem is for transportation. So quickly move on to the system level. This is a system in man. This is the circulatory system. You can see it's made up. Now the system is made up of organs. Don't forget, the tissues are made up of cells. The organs are made up of tissues. Then the system is made up of organ. We just saw the circulatory system, and now this is digestive system, starting from the mouth down to the anus in man. All right. So these that you can see the organization, the gradation, where the one coming after is made up of the one preceding it. You understand? The tissue made up of cells, organ made up of tissues, system made up of what? Organs, just like that. So this is a plant system. We have, for example, an example of a plant system is the word, let's say the conducting system. The conducting system now will be made up of the conducting tissues. Don't forget the xylem and the phloem, the roots, the leaves. They are all part of the word, the conducting system. Now, these organs system come together to form a what? An organism, a whole being. As you can see in ourselves, we have different organs in our body, like we just saw two systems: the circulatory, the digestive, and various organs, the reproductive system, and various systems in our body that come together to form us. Moving on, this is a paramecium, and an example of an organism at the cellular level of organization. This is just a single cell. Don't forget, at the cellular level, they have the organelles. They don't have organs. They have organelles at the cellular level. That's what you can see. This is an amoeba. It has organelles. It doesn't have organ. So the organelles does the function of the organ at the cellular level. For example, the contractile vacuole is for what? Is for the it regulates the amount of water. So it does the function of the kidney in us, and it's just an organelle, not yet an organ. It's not up to the organ level. I hope you understand that. Quickly moving on. This is an hydra. A hydra is at the tissue level of organization. All right, don't forget we've talked about the hydra before. A hydra is a colenterate. It belongs to the phylum Colenterata. Wall is dipoblastic. That means it has two body layers. And what level of organization does it belong to now? We can see now that it's a tissue level of organization. Now, quickly, the last thing we're going to be talking about today is the advantages of complexity and the disadvantages of complexity. I will try to run over it quickly. The first one for advantages, we can see that it leads to specialization. What specialization? Where a particular set of organs are responsible for a particular function. The next thing is that we see that specialization leads to division of labor. Yes, for example, we have the circulatory system. They have organs that are responsible for that and the rest. Sorry, I could not run through all that. Thank you for watching this video. See you in the next class. But make sure to pause the video at that very level and take note of everything that was said, that was actually typed at that level. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Bye. See you in the next class.